Khamzat Chimaev got his hand raised against Kamaru Usman, but it was an absolute disgrace because Kamaru Usman should have had a draw and got screwed over by the judges. And even though this won't mean anything, if that fight went 5 rounds, Khamzat Chimaev would have gotten finished. And that's very telling because I looked at this guy as the grappling version of Mike Tyson going into this. I thought of him as some chosen one that was going to go on and ragdoll and destroy all of the top contenders. And maybe you're going to laugh at me for that. But he just got fraud checked. He just got showed up by an old crafty veteran Usman who should have been given a draw, man. They fucked him over. Let's not act like they didn't. Usman won the 2nd and 3rd round. Simple. Okay? Khamzat Chimaev did not win that fight. I picked Khamzat, dude. I would love to sit here and argue that he did win the fight, but he didn't. And the fact that Kamaru took this fight on 11 days' notice and gave Khamzat this much of a scrap on the feet, and again, we have to be nuanced, because Khamzat did do some great work in this fight, taking down Usman multiple times, a guy that's known as having some of the best takedown defense in UFC history, which is very impressive, although he did good work, and we're going to talk about that good work. He didn't win. He lost the 2nd round, and I'll prove it to you. I rewatched the 2nd round. The most impactful shot that Khamzat Chimaev landed was a roundhouse kick to the body. That was it. Kamaru Usman landed a couple of good shots on the feet, couple of good jabs, and landed a nasty 1-2 down the pipe, which was a whole lot more impactful than Khamzat Chimaev's body kick. And if we're going to look at the significant strikes, Usman had 11 significant strikes to Khamzat Chimaev's 9. Total strikes, they're even. But I'm favoring Kamaru Usman's significant strike advantage. And although Khamzat Chimaev took down Kamaru Usman at the end of that round, he didn't do shit with it. So it doesn't matter if you have 40 seconds of control time. If you got outstruck, if you got outdamaged, it doesn't mean anything. And then if you look at the 3rd round, Kamaru had this guy on Crip Street. He was rocking him all over the place. I actually at one point thought that Khamzat was going to get finished. The fact that Khamzat Chimaev was on the verge of getting finished when he's the one that had the size advantage, the youth advantage, and the advantage of having a training camp is even more impressive for Kamaru Usman, and the fact that he wasn't given a draw pisses me off because he deserved that, man. And Kamaru Usman, I want to see a whole lot more of him at middleweight, and his career is by no means over. And I know a lot of people are talking about this wrist injury. Khamzat had a wrist injury. I'm done with the excuses. I'm tired of them. He's 29 years old, all right? We've all been talking about how this guy was going to level up, to a completely different stratosphere, because his last fight was about a year ago and he's only 28. Imagine how good he's going to be at 29. We've been saying this for every single year for Khamzat Chimaev. I think it's safe to say at this point that even though he is a special grappler, even though he's a monster in the 1st round, he's not going to run through the highest level of competition with ease. That's that. It's just not going to happen. Where was the striking? Where was it? I know he broke one of his wrists, apparently. Okay, throw the other hand. Why is he gassing out? That has nothing to do with breaking your wrist. That's a cardio issue. Why is he gassing out? Because his gas tank is lacking. And there should not be any more excuses about it, guys. I think it's safe to say that Khamzat's very good. He has potential to be a champion. And not everyone's going to give him the same issues as Kamaru Usman on the feet. But again, Usman's 36 and he's very good. Usman's very good. He's not over the hill, apparently. He just got shut down by Leon, so Leon's wins are aging really well. Full training camp, Khamzat starts to gas out in the 2nd round. Gets put on Crip Street, rocked all over the place in the 3rd. This guy's not going to go out there and dominate all of his opposition. He's at the highest level now. He's 29 years old. He's going to get a tiny bit better. But his cardio may not be something that's ever going to get that much better, right? You can build your skill set. This guy's training his ass off. He's known for going super hard, almost overtraining, which could maybe be an issue. But I'm sure Makhachev overtrains. I'm sure Volk overtrains. I'm sure a lot of these guys overtrain, and they still show up with amazing cardio. So I think that's really his Achilles heel. Again, the fact that he took Usman down multiple times, the fact that he dominated him in the 1st round and 10-8'd him is very impressive, right? Because no one's ever done this to Usman. Leon Edwards took Usman down, but he caught him off guard with a crafty inside trip. I mean, an outside trip. And that was the last thing that Kamaru was expecting. Khamzat Chimaev bullied him onto the ground in the first round, got one of his takedowns stuffed, stayed on Usman, got a body lock, and worked his ass off for the takedown, got Usman on the ground, and slowly but surely took the back, right? I mean, this is not, a lucky trip. And I'm not saying Edwards' trip was lucky, but this is a whole different level of grappling. Khamzat Chimaev did some great work. He's a phenomenal grappler. But Kamaru Usman is not a guy that is known for being amazing on the ground once it hits the mat. Kind of looks like a fish out of water. Showed some good submission defense, but I can't sit here and confidently say that Khamzat Chimaev submits Dricus du Plessis. I can't confidently say Khamzat Chimaev is going to go out there and submit Sean Strickland. These guys are going to have good submission defense as well. Maybe not the same takedown defense, but Khamzat successfully got Usman to the ground and wasn't able to do anything with it in the second and third and got pieced up on the feet. And once again, let me reiterate this. The fact that Khamzat Chimaev looked tired in the third round after not doing anything in the second, hardly expending any energy in the second. It was a lackluster round. Nothing happened for the most part. It was boring as hell. He looked gassed in the third. I thought it was a miracle that he even made it to the final bell after that third round. Again, you're going to bring up the wrist injury. He wasn't throwing any of his hands. He wasn't throwing any of his kicks. No leg kicks. He was tired. He expended a ton of energy in the first. And that was a Khamzat that was trying to catch his breath in the second. And imagine if this was a 5-rounder. This is a guy that probably will be fighting for championships in the future. And this is going to be an issue. The reason why he wasn't throwing anything in the second was because he was tired. All right? Injury or no injury. Both of his wrists weren't injured. He wasn't throwing jabs. He wasn't throwing right hands. He was hardly throwing any strikes whatsoever. It's because he was trying to catch his breath. And yes, his grappling looks good. But in the second and third, when he was tired, it was a whole lot less dominant than it was in the first because he wasn't able to do much with it. He looked like he was just holding on for dear life. And once again, we have to give him some respect for taking down Usman multiple times, but he did get fraud checked. A lot of people are going to be saying, relax, dude. You just expected way too much. I thought it was going to be competitive. Okay, great. Good for you. This is a fraud check for a lot of people, and you understand why too, all right? You know that Khamzat Chimaev has been getting more hype than any other prospect. You know that he's been getting more hype than any other grappler. So Khamzat Chimaev is definitely a good grappler. He's definitely a guy that can dominate people in the first, but if it goes past the first round, he's going to struggle a whole lot. And again, this is Kamaru Usman on 11 days' notice. A prime Kamaru Usman, I believe, a guy that has healthier knees, someone with a full training camp, I think he finishes this Khamzat Chimaev. And I saw an interview that Kamaru did. The guy's crying, he's got his head down and all that. It sucks to see because he deserved to be given a draw. And his stock is going to go up no matter what. Khamzat's stock, it goes down. And I'm not going to act like it doesn't. I mean, where was this fight that he had up against Gilbert Burns? Where was this type of striking? Where was this savage-like mindset against Kamaru? It really looked like Khamzat gassed out hard and got bullied around on the feet. It looked like he was the one that was getting punked. So he's not this monster that's going to go and walk people down no matter what, from pillar to post, first round to the last. He's just that guy in the first. So, really good performance from Kamaru. The fact that he's 36 years old, he's got these cobblestone knees. Yes, he got taken down a couple of times. Credit to Khamzat Chimaev for taking him down and putting work on him in the first. But Kamaru was the one that showcased those crafty veteran tricks in the later rounds. Kept his composure on the feet and started to walk down Khamzat Chimaev and imposed his will. And I really think that was just a mental switch in Kamaru Usman. I think that was just him saying, you know what? Fuck it. This guy's not doing a whole lot. I got nothing to lose. I'm going to start chucking jabs in his face. I'm going to start chucking right hands in his face and see what happens. And as soon as he started tagging Khamzat Chimaev, he said, screw it. Let's just go out here and fight. And I got to respect Kamaru for really putting on a great fight like that. I just wish it would have been a draw, man. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Because I see a lot of people saying that Usman should have won. I don't think they understand the sport. If you're going to sit here and tell me that Kamaru won, then you can't give Khamzat Chimaev a 10-8, and that is a 10-8 in the first round. Khamzat Chimaev was actually hitting Kamaru Usman in the face with tight little elbows and good hammer fists in the first round. He was threatening submissions. He bullied Usman in the first. Very impressive. But after that, it was a whole lot of nothing. The only thing he had going for him was a takedown with nothing on it. So, I was wrong, guys. I don't think Khamzat Chimaev is this chosen one level fighter. I don't think Khamzat Chimaev is the grappling version of Mike Tyson. And I do think that Kamaru Usman is a guy that still has some juice left in him. And I still, no pun intended, CEO VPO, right? But I still think that Kamaru Usman's got some good fights left. And I'd love to see him fight Dricus du Plessis on UFC 300 because he deserves that. He took this fight on 11 days' notice. The UFC should repay him with a big fight. And I guess they're going to give Khamzat a title shot after that. Dricus du Plessis deserves that title shot. End of story. Beating Robert Whittaker, knocking that guy out when Robert Whittaker was the most unstoppable number 2 man in the division we've ever seen, essentially, aside from Max Holloway, of course. Beating Whittaker convincingly is a whole lot better than getting a robbery win over Usman on 11 days' notice. It ain't even about Usman. He didn't deserve to get his hand raised. I thought it was a bad decision.
What is up, guys? It's Lucas Tracy MMA here, and I want to let you guys know that I have something for you, and that's a real food cookbook. Because if you're walking around looking like Chris Dawkins, you got to get that weight off. I don't know if you think you're DC or something, but most people usually don't perform at their best when they're walking around with 30% body fat. So if you're trying to lean out and you still want to eat good, tasty comfort foods, well, you could check out my Real Food Cookbook because I've made it a purpose to have good, tasty foods that you can still eat just without all the processed bullshit, without all the processed ingredients like soy and seed oils. So guys, check out the Real Food Cookbook. Use code MMA for 30% off. The link is in my description. Don't forget that discount.